Father of the universe,
Father of love,
Father of love,
truth,
peace,
peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector,
Allah is my protector,
my guide, and my salvation. By night, and by day. Through his holy prophet, through Ali. Amen. You mind standing? Islam. First I give praise to Allah.
First I give praise to Allah,
The great God of the universe.
the great God of the universe.
I give honor to his holy divine prophet.
I give honor to his holy divine prophet,
Noble Jurali,
Noble Jurali,
founder of the Moorish Scientific America.
founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America.
I give honor to the forerunner to the prophet,
I give honor to the forerunner to the prophet,
Brother Marcus Garvey.
Brother Marcus Garvey.
I give honor to all true and divine prophets.
I give honor to all true and divine prophets,
Jesus,
Muhammad, Buddha, Confucius,
etc.
etc.
I give honor to the past, supreme grand advisor, moderator of the Moorish Scientific America.
I give honor to the past supreme grand advisors and moderators of the Moorish Science Temple of America,
Brother C. Kirkman Bay,
Brother C. Kirkman Bay,
Brother F. Nelson Bay,
Brother F. Nelson Bay,
and Brother J. Blakely Bay.
and Brother J. Blakely Bay.
I give honor to the past former Grand Sheik and moderator of the Moorish Scientific America.
I give honor to the past former Grand Sheik and moderator of the Moorish Science Temple of America,
Brother Allah Beer.
Brother Allah Bir.
I give honor to the present Grand Sheik who is the moderator of the Moorish Scientific America.
I give honor to the present Grand Sheik who is the moderator of the Moorish Science Temple of America,
Brother R. Jones Bay.
Brother R. Jones Bay.
I give honor to the assistant Grand Sheik of the Moorish Scientific America.
I give honor to the assistant Grand Sheik of the Moorish Science Temple of America,
Brother P. Chase Hill.
Brother P. Chase Hill.
I give honor to the Grand National Secretary of the Moorish Scientific America.
I give honor to the Grand National Secretary of the Moorish Science Temple of America,
Sister I. Morbay.
Sister Al Bay.
I give honor to the Financial Secretary of the Moorish Scientific America.
I give honor to the Financial Secretary of the Moorish Science Temple of America,
Sister T. Potter Bay.
Sister T. Potter Bay,
To her assistant.
and to her assistant,
Sister M. Montgomery Bay.
Sister M. Montgomery Bay.
I give honor to all national, state, and local officials of the Moorish Scientific America.
I give honor to all national, state, and local officials of the Moorish Science Temple of America.
I give honor to the Grand Governor of Washington, D.C.
I give honor to the Grand Governor of Washington, D.C.,
Brother H. Harris Bay.
Brother H. Harris Bay,
And to his assistant.
and to his assistant,
Brother T. Gaither.
Brother T. Gabriel.
I give honor to all sheiks and members of the Moorish Scientific America.
I give honor to all chiefs, and members of the Moorish Science Temple of America.
I give honor to all auxiliaries of the Moorish Scientific America.
I give honor to all auxiliaries of the Moorish Science Temple of America.
I give honor to the American flag,
I give honor to the American flag,
the Moorish flag,
the Moorish flag,
and to our charter.
and to our charter.
I give honor to everything that the prophet brought
I give honor to everything that the prophet wrote
for the uplifting of fallen humanity.
for the uplifting of fallen humanity.
I give honor to man.
I give honor to man.
Peace.
Peace.
Salvation of God unity. The Moorish Scientific of America, the divine constitution and bylaws. Act 1. The Grand Sheik and the chairman of the Moorish Scientific of America is empowered to make law and enforce laws with the assistance of the prophet and the grand body of the Moorish Scientific of America. The assistant Grand Sheik is to assist the Grand Sheik in all affairs. If he lives according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and is known for the members of the Moorish Scientific of America. Act 2. All meetings are to be open and closed promptly according to Circle 7 and love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Friday is our holiday of rest because on a Friday, the first man born in flesh, and on a Friday, the first man departed out of flesh. Understand to the Father God Allah. For that cause, Friday is a holiday for all Muslims all over the world. Act 3. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice must be proclaimed and practiced by all members of the Moorish Scientific of America. No member to put in danger or accuse falsely his brother or sister or any occasion at all that may harm his brother or sister because Allah is love. Act 4. All members must preserve these holy divine laws, and all members must obey the laws of the government. Because if you're in the Moorish America, you are a part and parcel of the government and must live like accordingly. Act 5. This organization of the Moorish Scientific of America is not to cause any confusion or to overthrow the laws and constitution of the state government, but to obey hereby. Act 6. With us, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and a parcel of the state government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from the sinful ways. The Moors and Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites, whom inhabit the northwest and southwest shores of Africa. At 7, all members must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and a party of all uplifting acts of the Moorish Time Temple of America. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with the necessities of the Moorish Time Temple of America. Then you are entitled to name and faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children and look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother, being industrious, and become a part of the uplifting of all humanity. All Moorish Americans keep their hearts and minds filled with love and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from the Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali, through the God's Father God Allah. Noble Drew Ali, founder, Moorish American prayer. Allah, the Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah, my protector, my God, and my salvation, by night and by day. Through his Holy Prophet Drew Ali, amen. The Moorish Time Temple of America, Home Office, 2905 5th Street, Southeast, Washington, D.C., 20032. That's what I read from the Divine Constitutional Bylaw. Now I'd like to read from the questionnaire and additional law for the Moorish American by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Act 1. Grand Sheikhs and governors and heads of all temples, all businesses. Each said temple be approved by the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Before acting upon by any members, let it be financed property or any line of life that will cause the members to sacrifice, finance, etc. that will cause the support of any group of members. Any former author of violating these laws is subject to be removed from his office under heavy restriction as set up by the Prophet of the Grand Sheikh. Act 2. All members are to attend the ADAP meetings and the public meetings promptly. If a member is found standing around on a meeting period, shall be fined 50 cents on the first case, and on the second, he'll be fined $1, which will be an emergency fund. If a member is working, his monthly dues must be paid, and if he has money in the bank, he must subscribe for as much as he is able to the Moorish Uplifting Fund, because it takes finance to uplift the nation. Act 3. It is lawful and divine duty of every good member, if he is able to finance to aid me in saving the nation. And if he does not, he is an enemy to the cause of uplifting his own people, and justice must catch you. Let it be he or she, according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. As I have the power invested in my hands, I will have to force the law in order to save the nation. Act 4. All members, while making a public speech, must not use any assertion against the American flag or speak radical against the church or any member of any organized group, but we are to teach love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Act 5. All members must promptly attend their meeting and send their children to Sunday school, and the teacher must conform himself to the questionnaire, and let every member exercise 5 senses who is able to do so, because offering the Sunday school is the guidance of the nation. Act 6. But first, all members must proclaim their nationality, and we are teaching our people their nationality and their divine creed, that they may know that they are a part and parcel of this said government, and know that they are not Negroes, colored folks, black people, or Ethiopians, because these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this is a new era time now, and all men now must proclaim their free national name to be recognized by the government in which they live and the nations of the earth. This is the reason why Allah, the great God of the universe, ordained Noble Drew Ali, the prophet, to redeem his people from their sinful ways. The Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites, who inhabit the northwest and southwestern shores of Africa. Act 7. All members must promptly attend their meetings and become a part and a parcel of all of the acts of the Moorish Time Temple. Members must pay their dues and keep in line with all the necessities of the Moorish Time Temple. Then you are entitled to a name of faithful. Husband, you must support your wife and children. Wife, you must obey your husband and take care of your children, look after the duties of your household. Sons and daughters must obey father and mother, being industrious, and become part of the uplifting of all humanity. All Moorish Americans keep their hearts and minds pure with love, and their bodies clean with water. This divine covenant is from the Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali, through the God's Father God Allah. That's what I read from the questionnaire and additional of all 7 acts. Now I'd like to read from the Holy Quran of the Moorish Time Temple of America. Divine prepared by no prophet, no value. I can read from chapter 35. Home instruction from the prophet religion. There is but one Allah, the author, the creator, governor of the world, almighty, eternal, and incomprehensible. The sun is not Allah, though it know resemblance. He lightened the world with his brightness. It once given life to the products of the earth. Admire him as a creature, the instrument of Allah, but worship him not. To one who is supreme, most wise and beneficent, and to him alone belong worship, adoration, thanksgiving, and praise. Who has stretched forth the heavens with his hands, who hath described with his fingers the courses of the stars, who setteth bounds to the ocean that it cannot pass, and saith unto the stormy winds, be still, who shaketh the earth and the nations tremble, who dareth enlighten and the wicked are dismayed, who called forth words by the words of his mouth, who smiteth with his arm and is sinketh to nothing. O reverence the majestic of the omnipotent, and tempt not his anger, lest I be destroyed. The providence of Allah is of all his works. He ruleth and directeth with infinite wisdom. Peace.
Peace.
Islam.
Islam.
I'd like to welcome all to our Sunday school here in Washington, D.C. at Temple 71. Praise the Lord for you. As I read from off in the Sunday school from the God of the nation. And saying that is that through the Sunday school, you know, we can become gods. People start following, people start looking at you. So through our teachings of our Prophet Noble Valley, you know, they will see the good deeds that's gonna be amongst you. So we have anybody out there that come up. Everybody feeling this, okay? Yeah. Anybody need any bills, you can raise your hand. Anybody need this, you can raise your hand. Somebody with tissue. Need any water? Nothing? Raise your hand, somebody with tissue. Let everybody get seated. So then we'll be instructed by our Grand Secret, the moderator of the Morris Science of Mother. So we're gonna have everybody come up there. Have a moment of silent meditation before I go out.
Islam.
I've heard you like to call forth the Grand Secret of the moderator of the Morris Science of Mother John Bay to instruct our Sunday school.
Islam?
Islam.
Okay. Allah the Father of the universe.
Father, love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, through Ali. Amen.
Praise Allah. Okay. Okay, who made you?
Allah.
Who is Allah?
Allah, the Father of the universe.
Can we see him?
No.
Where's the nearest place we can meet him?
In the heart.
Who is Noble Jual?
He is Allah's prophet.
What is a prophet?
A prophet is the total of Allah manifested in the flesh,
What is the duty of a prophet?
to save nations from the wrath of Allah.
Who is the founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America?
Noble Ali,
What year was the Moorish Science Temple of America founded?
1913 AD,
Where?
Newark, New Jersey.
Where was Noble Juali born?
In the state of North Carolina, 1886.
What is his nationality?
Moorish American.
What is your nationality?
Moorish American.
Why are we Moorish American?
Because we are descendants of Moroccans and born in America.
For what purpose was the Moorish Science Temple of America founded?
For the uplifting of fallen humanity.
How did the prophet begin to uplift the Moorish American?
By teaching them to be themselves.
What is our religion?
Islamism.
Is that a new or is that the old time religion?
Old time religion.
What kind of a flag is a Moorish?
It is a red flag with a 5-pointed green star in the center.
If I ask you a question, a religion must what? A religion must what? Yeah, who said it? That's right, it must what? It must live. A religion must live. How does a religion live?
By being propagated.
By being what?
Propagated.
By being propagated, okay. Okay, but that's just from here.
Through
Yeah.
action. Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Even what?
By practice, by practicing.
By practicing. That's right. Because a religion must live through who? You. They must see your religion manifest through you.
Yes.
I must be able to look at you and say, that person, that's a religious person.
Mm-hmm.
Because what should you be exhibiting? Principles of action, your principles. And I didn't say what religion.
Right.
Any religion. Because whether you know it or not, true religion is based on the same principles.
Mm-hmm.
How can you not have a religion based on love? How can you not have a religion based on truth, peace, freedom, or justice? How can you not have that in your religion? When you automatically know what love is, the only savior of the world. So how can you have a religion that's not saving? How can you have a religion that's not truth, giving you the truth? Or a just religion? A religion that's righteous. Because justice is that which is what? Right. A religion that enables you to be free. Free to do what?
Be yourself.
That's a good one. Be yourself.
Your true self.
Your true self. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. Come on, Mama.
Yeah, I was thinking about the truth part, right?
Right.
And it's just for me and my understanding
Right.
at this time.
Right.
You know, as far as degrees of it,
Right.
you know, some religions have different degrees of truth.
Right.
That's just how I'm saying it right now.
Right. But I don't think it's anything wrong with that.
Oh, no.
You know, because truth comes in degrees.
I had to start out in kindergarten when I was in the second school.
Right.
I ain't started out in high school.
No. 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 Yes.
It has to be degrees because there's so many different points of view.
Well, look, true religion cannot be circumscribed.
That's right.
True religion can't be circumscribed. You see, you can't say, even we can't say that this is all there is to it.
Praise the Lord.
We can't say that and be justifiably right. Because we ourselves are only being exposed to a degree, you see, of truth based on the practice of Islamism. Yes,
Would it be safe to say that love comes in different degrees too?
there's no question. Everything comes in degrees. because it is solely dependent on your gift of understanding. And you can only understand, understand the degree of which is appropriate for your developmental stage that you're in. You gonna go?
Yeah, I was going to say, as the brother was talking about the truths,
Yes.
and you had mentioned about religion,
Yes.
and I was thinking about where the prophet says custom
Cannot
alter the nature
That's
of
right.
truth.
That's right.
So because other people or other religions may practice a certain way,
Right.
truth doesn't change.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Make it still-
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to add too about the truth coming in degrees.
Yes.
Is that if it didn't come in degrees, we would be like according to the record, blinded by the light.
Yeah.
You know, you
That's
see,
right.
because the
That's
truth
right.
is art and art is a law.
That's right. That's right.
And a law don't come to you in degrees.
That's right.
When they do come, it's gonna blind you.
Right.
I mean, because it's too much light
Right.
for you to even think about comprehend.
Right. Right.
So,
Right.
thank you.
Right. Right. Yeah, I can hear that. Listen, let's go to. You know where I'm going to go to? Where I've been prompted to go to, and I was. So listen, I've been prompted to talk about Adam and Eve.
Yes, sir.
And Adam and Eve are who? The mothers. Okay. Now listen, I want to try to share this with you as best I can, but it is when I start to think about it, it starts to race, and sometimes I may not get it out
Right.
because it's racing.
Mm-hmm.
You see, but I want to try to get it out because because I don't want to. You ever had something that you feel that you need to talk about, and you want to share it as much as you can before you forget it? Because I've been thinking about it for a minute, and I was talking to myself at home, and I'm trying to get it all out, but it is a,
Yes.
So anyway, we're going to attempt to talk about something. Okay. And when we talk about Adam and Eve, we must keep in mind what? The first thing.
Who they are.
Who they are.
Okay, who they are. Yes, that's good. But more so, what they are.
Spirits.
Thank you. We're talking about spirits. And we must talk about where those spirits occupied, or what place did they occupy? The Garden of Eden. Spirits, meaning the Garden of Eden first is what? Spirit. And in the Garden of Eden dwelled creations. These creations were also comprised of angels. Angels. So remember, until they became not the angels, but man.
That's right. Human base himself.
Before he became an unbeliever, he was a Muslim. The mothers and fathers of the human family, Asiatics and Muslims.
Praise the Lord.
So before they went into Asia and became Asiatics, they were Muslims. Remember, where was the first physical man formed?
In the Garden of Eden.
The Garden of Eden, and listen what it says, the first physical man. So we're not talking about the spiritual garden now. We're talking about something physical. And in the physical, once they went into Asia, something else took place. And what was that? What took place when they ventured into Asia? Because venturing into Asia is now going into what? The world. The world. The what kind of world? The kind of world. The physical world. So what took place with those who left the garden?
Nature.
They took on a common spirit.
And from that, what happened?
Nature.
A nature.
Spring forth.
Remember, when they first left the garden, the prophets say they died by the thousands.
That's right.
So listen what he said. They died by the thousands. So that let you know it wasn't just two leaving.
No.
So we know that the mothers and fathers are not just two.
Right.
There were many spirits
Lord.
in the garden
Praise the Lord.
that ventured into Asia and took on flesh. And from this flesh that they took on became a what? A carnal nature.
The spring forth.
From carnal things. Come on.
In that, praise my answer, brother.
Yes.
In that train of thought,
Yes.
so how did so many be in the same debasing thought to fall like that or to take on that physical?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because something happened.
Right.
Or I'm thinking something happened,
Right.
you know, that so many would choose a path
Right.
like that.
Right.
So I mean, maybe they weren't aware of that. This physical, this carnal nature was going to spring forth from this physical. I understand. We talk about the way in the Quran it talks about in the slow rhythm we took on this
Right.
form.
Right. Right.
So I understand it. But why?
More. Listen. Listen. How could they know? They were ignorant of the world.
Okay.
And what would spring forth once they entered the world. They're coming from out of a spiritual condition into a physical condition. They don't know about the physical condition yet because they have not lived it.
They had to adjust to it.
They had to experience it.
We love and follow that.
So why would it be, how is it difficult to understand when man loves the Father?
Okay. Crazy.
It don't take but one that's persuasive enough to say, come on, let's go out here and look at this.
Crazy.
Come on, Mark.
Yeah, Islam. I was thinking about the question that you asked. And what came to my mind was
Yes.
the teeming thoughts.
Yes.
They was reproducing it.
Yes, yes, yes,
Rapid
yes,
rate,
yes,
That's what I mean.
yes, yes. See, for us to be able to discuss the garden, you must be able to see the garden. And the garden is a part of us. We just have to remember. Mind never does forget. So I say, let's dare to venture into areas where we can recall to our memory
That's right.
glimpses of the time before we came here.
That's deep. So many like
Think about what it was like. I spoke to you last week and I said, remember one of the most uplifting experiences that you've had where you did not want to necessarily leave that state. And that gives you a glimpse of what it was like in the garden. Come on.
That put me in thought, first
Yes.
giving praise to Allah, to the Prophet, where you said that there's a line dividing
Yes.
divinity and
That's
matter.
right,
And just looking at self, you know, there's a part of me that can take on the divine when I'm like, let the spirit resonate through me
Yeah.
to move me.
Yes.
And then there, I could take that back with my will and just allow for my, you know, if I don't let the, you know what I'm saying, if I don't let my spirit actuate my flesh to move me,
Right.
then basically I can like, you know, I take it back and kind of like just go to and fro or just, you know, it's kind of like, so it's like that line that divine, the divinity and matter. The matter part of it would be that flesh that took on that garb
Okay.
of carnal things
Okay.
where I have these desires and those are things that I gotta keep checking.
Okay. Okay.
Put
Okay.
some on, cause
Okay. Okay. I see some of what you're saying. You know, I can hear some of what you're saying. Come on, Neil.
I got a little concern.
Right.
I had a thought about the garden before before we come to the flesh.
Yes.
It was on the plane of soul.
Yes.
So I had placed the garden
Right.
on the plane of soul. But
Right.
Because that's where
There it is.
Right.
That's
There
where
it
the
is.
thought came.
Right.
That's all.
Right.
Before he debased himself.
Right.
Allah placed him one
Right.
place, he went somewhere else.
Right.
You know, so
Right. What you say?
Allah put him one place, he went somewhere else.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Put
Right.
him on his native.
Remember, he had a place for us to grow.
Yes.
A place that's appropriate for spirit to grow.
Praise the Lord. Praise the Lord.
You see? And he supplied, and we were supplied with a talent that was to help us to function on that plane.
That's right.
Now, this ability to function is very important when you consider to function properly, you must be thinking properly.
Praise the Lord.
And in your thoughts, you create those things that will aid and assist you in your growth and development. Because remember, man had to become a living soul. But initially, man is a seed.
That's right. Praise the Lord.
A seed that has to grow, unfold,
Praise the Lord.
as the bud unfolds to the flower.
Right.
Praise the Lord.
And that's by going through what?
All the ways
All
of
the
life.
All the ways of life.
Brother Jones, man.
Yes.
So, and you know, I'm trying to figure out how. Well, I'm just kind of reflecting on what you.
Hey, look, wait a minute before you stop. Look, y'all. I don't have all the answers. I'm exploring just like we all exploring. It's just that I'm sharing and hope that you share so we can start connecting some pieces together.
Praise the Lord. Praise the
So
Lord.
my thought was, even though we had the ability to think, we also had inquiring minds.
Well, you know what? Well, inquiry is her delight.
So,
That is her delight. That's her whole thing.
right.
You know? That's her whole thing. Yes.
I just like to just say, Lord, just don't be too hard on yourself, because this is a Lord's plan. You know, I mean, you got to understand that the seed that he just spoke about, that was ordained. See, like he said, Friday, I believe it was. God didn't create no phase.
Nah.
You see, I mean, this was the part of his plan
That's right.
for you know, for man to go on that native plane. You see what I'm saying? Knowing that man was going to what? Debase himself. You see what I'm saying? And the plane of soul was going to come about. Then the physical was going to come about. All that was ordained.
Praise God.
Islam.
It was ordained. Only man created because he was given the power to choose.
Choose, right. There you go.
So when man was given that power to choose by way of the soul,
Praise the Lord.
and the soul chooses based on its ability to think
Thank
and reason, all that. You see,
Praise the Lord.
he was Lord. He was made Lord. Come on.
You know, one of the things, and this is the question you asked at the beginning,
Yes.
you asked the question about what is the God?
Yes.
See, and when you asked that question, immediately, when you explained that the God was a spirit,
Yes.
so I think about when Jesus told Barabbas,
Right.
we got to evaluate where we are at
Right.
mentally,
Right.
because we have to forget this flesh
Right.
to go into the land of fleshless things to see
Right.
that God.
Right.
If our thoughts right now are of the God and what we have perceived it to be,
Right.
we're only assuming that we see the God
Right.
because of the carnal way of looking at the God.
Right. Right.
So sometimes with conversations like this, I'm learning,
Right.
you let them conversations come.
Right.
Because there's a process that you got to go through
Right.
within
Right.
yourself to
Right.
get to the God.
Right. Right.
And if you are not there mentally,
Right.
you're going to only perceive the God by the promptings of your carnal nature.
Right. Right.
Because he don't want you to see the God.
Right. Right.
So you got to, and that's something
Man, he don't even want you to
you
talk.
talk about. Because see, we was taught that the God, when everything we ever saw was the God, was of a physical point of view.
Right.
Right.
Right. Right.
And one of the transformations in knowing this is that those who came out of the garden had to be taught to live on this plane.
Right. 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 Right.
We took on a whole different transition.
Right.
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 Okay.
Right.
From sweating,
Right. Right.
things of that nature.
You know what? We have been taught to limit our perceptions
There you go.
of the things that can't be seen. Come on. And attempt to explain those things by the things we see.
See, that's all. Praise the
Which
Lord.
keeps us bound.
Keeps us sharp.
Come on. Oh, wait a minute. No, brother.
I was thinking about when you say man was but a seed,
Yes,
you know, a thought,
yes.
and that thought took on a form, and every form had its form of life. So there were many Adams and there were many Eves.
Okay, okay,
There were more than two. There
Okay.
were many.
okay. Now, once we can get to that point where we can see more than one, now you see mothers and fathers. That's going to challenge the two concepts. But that's what we're supposed to do.
Exactly.
This is all. Praise
We
the
must challenge what we have been taught, because there's nothing wrong with challenging it
Right.
if it's going to take us to another level of development. The key is not let what you have been taught confine you to only seeing that.
Right.
This is all. Praise the
Because
Lord.
if that's all you see,
You have a shallow
that's all
mind.
you see.
Oh.
If you don't let go, you won't see that it's something far beyond the limit of the pole. Don't limit yourself.
Right.
Come on, Harvey.
That's all. So while Spirit Man was in the garden, he could have chose not to come to the spirit. I mean, to the physical plane.
Look, Spirit Man always have had a choice.
Okay, that's it. All right, that's all. I thought it was ordained because.
No, it wasn't ordained like
Okay.
that.
Okay.
See, because think about it. Allah would have never put his children in a situation that would put them at a disadvantage.
So where do perfected man has to pass through all the ways of life?
Here,
Okay.
there are levels
So
of progression for the spirit. The plane of things made manifest is like a schoolhouse.
Okay.
And you go through these different classroom experiences so that you can gain the strength and the knowledge so that you'll know that there is only one.
Praise the Lord.
This is a result of us seeing something else. See, we created the situations that we're in. We created the bodies for ourselves. Because we had to. She had to create a body for us to function here. We could not even function here if we didn't have the proper equipment.
this is all. Praise the Lord.
So what does she do? She makes her own. We create. We create with the ability that we've been blessed with. But the problem is, in our creations, we leave out the main ingredient. And when you leave out the main ingredient, then something else will spring forth. A nature. See, we created a condition for the carnal nature to spring forth because we gave it a body of flesh. And it can only spring forth from fleshy things. Yes.
We gave it, we call it a breeding ground.
Of course it is. Listen, but he told you. Listen what it breeds. It breeds. Once we gave it the form,
Right.
it started to breed. And we started to go after it. Because here, what's so mesmerizing are the appearances. The things that appear can get you easily caught up. Because here, whatever appears is something that you're thinking about. And your thought causes a reflex to appear.
So, Brother Joe,
Wait a minute. Come on, Prophet.
It's a progression. I remember, I keep hearing the seed,
Yes.
and we gotta remember the seed was perfect.
Yep. But it had not developed into perfection. It's still in a developmental stage. It has all the potentials, all the attributes, but they must be developed. And because we had an opportunity to develop those attributes in a certain condition. But we chose to create a situation that afforded us an opportunity to also learn in another condition. We lowered ourselves, we debased ourselves. So we entered into the realm of the slower vibrations. And when we entered into the realm of the slower vibrations, we were introduced to fleshy things. Because in those slower vibrations, there is that which is known as murky ethers.
So boy, at some point, it reached perfection.
It hasn't reached perfection yet, because when it reaches perfection, it will leave this, because this will no longer exist.
It won't
We
need
be
it
back
no
in
more.
one with Allah.
Well, no, because we still have sent thoughts beyond us.
Right.
And that on the next plane of existence, we got to deal with what we sent prior to us getting there.
Plain so.
Yeah. Where you must full complete the victory.
Right.
It has to be fully completed. You don't think the things that you think about, those little devious, mischievous things that we think about just go away, do you? They are in an unmanifested state. And so therefore, when you reach that next plane of development, you must meet those thoughts in their unmanifested state, because you will be in an unmanifested state. Come on.
When we pass this form of life and we return back to one for Allah, do our will come with us, the will that we have left?
When we
we gave up our will.
No, Mo. When we return back, we're one. His will is our will.
That's right. It's the same.
It's only one will. See, it's only one will for real.
Praise the Lord.
We're returning back to that oneness, that one will, that one thought. When his thought is our thought. When we are, in fact, him.
It's long.
Just like Jesus.
Yeah, it's like Jesus one way.
It's just like Jesus.
Prophet one way.
See, when Jesus tells you, he tells us, what I am, all men shall be.
Right.
He means just that.
It's long.
Now, we may look at it and we say, oh man, how can that be? Well, in your present state and in your present state of thinking about it, it may be somewhat difficult to conceive the fact that one day you will be perfected man.
It's long.
May be hard for us to comprehend that. And why would it not be? We're on the we're still experiencing finiteness in our thinking. But as you practice, and your practice brings you in close proximity to the will of Allah, remember, your ideal is your God.
It's long.
Where you see what you see yourself as today, tomorrow you may see yourself further on the line. Because Allah that's in you will start to express himself more frequently. And you will become more in tune with him. And he, through his mercy, will reveal himself to you, which will give you strength and inspiration to continue to march forward towards the nobler life that the future holds for the graces of men. Okay. I got you. And I got you. Come on.
Islam, well, I was going back to what you were saying, but when they died by the thousands
Right.
Coming out of the garden,
Right.
so they were safeguarded when they was in the garden.
There was no death.
Right, so there was no death in the garden, so
Right.
they came out to something new,
That's right. And they entered into the world of illusion. The death is an illusion.
and they couldn't adjust to it, so that's why they was dying by the thousands.
Right.
Islam.
Right. Well, look, not only that, you know, they died by the thousands. Yes, they couldn't, because remember, atmosphere.
And the seed wasn't developed.
Well, no, it was that by all creatures getting their nourishment or food from atmosphere,
Islam.
it was a conflict.
Right.
It's long.
And the stronger
They
ate the bodies of the weaker.
Islam.
So as we came out, remember he talked about the beasts
Yes. Yes.
that roam the earth. What you were thinking beasts was eating?
That's right.
So it was the Moors, we had to learn how to slay the beasts.
Right.
But prior to us being able to slay the big beast, the beast was having a field day with
That's
us.
it.
Yep.
You know, and this is only the picture that I'm sharing based on what I have been able to comprehend from what has been revealed to me by way of his word.
Praise the Lord.
Because we have to stay in accord with his word, because if we don't, we can get lost out there.
Praise the Lord.
Come on.
I want to ask a question. When we leave this physical body and go on another plane, how do we communicate? Because like we talking out this physical body now, but when we get on the other plane,
Right.
how do we communicate with one another?
With thought. Man is a thought. Thought communicates with thought.
That's right.
Even though we're speaking like this right now, what I'm speaking is thought. And that's why the body is important on this plane of things made manifest, because it helps us to communicate our thoughts to one another. We lost our ability to read thoughts. So we had to, so Allah, again, merciful, you know, y'all got to be able to talk to one another. So here's a body that you use, and you use these vocal cords to communicate. What are you communicating? Your thoughts.
Yeah, we used to have the ability to do telekinesis and telepathy and things of that nature. We lost that.
Yeah.
Over the
We lost the knowledge of it.
Right.
We lost we lost the knowledge of it, and we lost the remember.
That's how
how
the
to
ancient
use
Egyptians,
it.
the ancient Egyptians used to talk like they used to use that.
Well,
to
I
communicate.
can't say that.
Well,
I mean, they could have.
Right.
Okay.
So you just
Okay,
need
come
to
on.
realize that, like, all words are meaningful.
Yes, Mom.
So therefore, if all words are meaningful and there's a power in the word, then
Right.
that's what it is. So all the power is in
Right.
the word, because the word was with God anyway.
Right. Well, see, remember, the word is spirit.
The word is spirit, true. So that's what gives us so much power.
That's right. See, when we bring things when we bring things into existence by the things we say out of our mouth.
Right.
We say what Allah has said to us. We say be.
Right.
And so it is.
Yes.
The other thing I wanted to ask you, so when I look at that, it's like saying, now there's nothing bigger than the decision that I make, because the decision is my deciding fact. So I don't see anything bigger than a decision.
Well, it is something bigger. The thought that you hold that prompts you to make that decision. It's your thinking. Come on.
It's about a question.
Yeah.
So, mothers and fathers of the human family.
Yes.
Asiatic model.
Yes.
So, I'm looking at all these brothers and sisters.
Yes.
So, will we fall under the category of being those mothers and fathers?
You are
No
today
question.
without doubt
No
commendation.
question.
We are just rebreathing.
Yes.
You know. See, remember, we create things on this plane of things made manifest. That was created here. We come back to correct those things. Once we left the garden, we entered into what is known the circle of birth and death. There was no circle of birth and death in the garden.
Right.
That only became manifest when we walked into the illusion. And the only reason that manifested was because from out of the garden, where we were Muslims, into the world where we became disbelievers. Now, the world of disbelief is totally different than the world of spirit. But we have been made to think that this world of disbelief is real.
That's right.
But it's not. That's why we have to be reprogrammed. You know, and that's why he sent the Redeemer and gave us the ability to communicate to the wise for their instruction. The divine instructions that were brought to him to help us to open up our eye to see from within.
Right.
And start to challenge what we see from without. That's the conflict.
Praise God.
That's the conflict. That's what has you at odds with yourself. See, one thing that they did with the illusion was to get us to refocus on God.
Right.
They say he's there. What was the trend of thinking? Take you from without from within where he is, and bring you out where he is now. keep you looking for it outside yourself.
So, so in the spirit, I can understand why they say ye are all gods, children of the Most High, and then here on this plane, you become something else.
We become sons of Adam and Eve.
Sons of Adam and Eve.
Yeah.
Praise God.
Yes.
I just had a question pop up in my thoughts.
Yes.
Uh,
Sons and daughters of Adam and Eve.
Sons and daughters. Okay. Praise God.
we know that Allah is within.
Do we?
And that's what we learn in here.
Okay.
In the Most High,
Okay.
we're learning that. But also, in our book, it said He's everywhere.
Yes.
You know, so everywhere means in and everywhere.
But see, everywhere, when you start
What is
about,
everywhere?
that's the question. That's the question. Correct. What is your everywhere?
I know that.
You know what I mean? Come on, brother Glover back.
Islam, oh, praise the Lord. I keep thinking, I keep going back to what's my perception
Yes.
of how I see
Yes.
and what I'm seeing,
Yes.
which
Yes.
keeps me stuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we talk about spirit, but only thing I can operate out of what I see, based on what the brother was saying back there, Mother Harris made,
Yeah.
about so I can't get to there. You know, so my vision,
Yeah.
I have to challenge my own perception
Yeah.
and get past what I've been operating out of all these years. That's right.
Yeah.
Because if I don't challenge it, then my understanding will be based on what I've been seeing.
Right.
And what I've been seeing,
Right.
as I understand that, is
Right.
the illusion.
Right.
But all my definitions are connected to that illusion.
Right.
So it's difficult for me
Right.
to comprehend
Right.
something else.
Right.
Whatever that something else is.
Right.
I'm gonna automatically, instinctively go to what I've been seeing.
Because it's unseen.
So it's so subtle.
Right.
It's so subtle.
Yeah.
How quick the thought come in.
Right.
You know that I'm already in the illusion and don't even know it.
Right.
It's like that's the thought.
But you know what though? One of the things that you have just demonstrated in your delivery is that you are thinking about it. When he gets you to think, you can save yourself. You see, the key is you don't even have to accept what's being discussed at this moment. But I bet you one thing, you're gonna think about it.
Yeah.
That's the key, to get us to think. See, if we can get us to think, Allah is in you just like He's in me.
Right.
He speaks to you in a still small voice just like He speaks to me. He explains things to you just like He explains things to me. You see? But we have to be able to accept the fact that He's trying to speak to us. Because the time has come when every tongue must confess His own. We don't have the luxury now of time.
Right.
Because it is the end of time. Come on, Mama.
You know, one thing I think about, that which we see,
Right.
if we're not careful, it will dazzle you in our approaching it.
Right.
So the most important thing I think what I'm learning is you be humble.
Right.
You be humble to receive.
Right.
And not think that which you see is
Right.
all that it is.
Right.
See,
Right.
you can talk about it,
Right.
but you got to be careful even with talking about it
Right.
because you may make it sound like you actually know what you're really seeing.
Right.
So you got to stay humble so that He can continue to reveal it to you.
Right.
How you deal with it is up to you because
Right.
if you don't deal with it in the right way, it can easily be cut off from you.
Right.
Because it can do more harm than it can do good.
Right. Right.
So I think being humble
Right.
as He reveals these things to you
Right.
helps you be able to continue.
Right.
And like it's often said, don't limit your ability to see because we cannot circumscribe
Right.
what He reveals to us.
Right. See, keep this in mind. These things are being discussed with you because you are at the point
Praise the Lord.
where you can grasp it.
Yes, ma'am.
Everyone is not going to grasp it in the same degree. But you will get your portion.
Right.
That's right.
That's allotted to you.
That's right.
see? This is not strange that we are in this discussion today pertaining to this issue. You are being rewarded for your efforts to change the way you think because you think your condition can be better.
Right.
This is your reward to give you an opportunity to see beyond the limit of the pole.
That's right.
Which hopefully will give you inspiration, encouragement, and motivation to stay on the path. That's totally up to you. You see, our job is only to share with you what has been revealed to us.
That's right.
In an effort and hope that you can hear something that can help you to see a little further down the road. Come on, Mom.
It's normal.
Yes, sir.
And one of the things too, Brother Grant, is
Yes,
that
sir.
being in here.
Yes.
So remember what we're doing. We're returning
Yes.
to Islam.
That's right, Mom.
This is our God need. There's a certain thought that's being vibrated here, like it was there. He's trying to return us to that state of mind of our forefathers.
Yes. Yes.
I read from chapter 36 on Friday, Know Thyself. In that chapter, it reveals certain things to us. And it even says to us that there's some things that are inside of us
Yes.
that let us know.
Yes.
And remember when he talks to us about, in chapter 7, about the gnosis.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes.
See, our Quran is the revealed word of God out.
Yes.
And you said it right. We're learning how to purify ourselves so we can receive.
Yes. Yes. That's right.
If you've been in here practicing, you ain't thinking like you was. You start to get some things out of you,
Right.
so that the prophet can replace them by putting the Spirit of Almighty God back in us.
Yes. Yes.
So the more we stay open, the more we practice, the more we be revealed about the truth
Yes.
of man.
Yes. Yes.
You know, so we in the right place, because this is where we are being developed.
Right. That's right.
Our hearts and minds are being developed in here. You don't have these conversations out there. This is the atmosphere that must be maintained for our growth and development.
Yeah, that's right. This is the atmosphere that must be maintained. Ain't no question. Ain't no question. Because anywhere else is going to be too slow.
That's right.
And if it's slow, we're going to still be relating to this more so than what we need to be relating to, because we're supposed to be seeking what?
Kingdom of heaven.
First. Come on, Mom.
Islam, and along with the AGS, we gotta remember the relation
Yeah.
that binds us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
without the relation, we can't achieve what we try to achieve.
Right. Now, what is relations based on? What is the development of relationship based on?
Love.
Friendship.
Unification.
Say it.
Unification.
Yeah, unification, that's right.
Your experience.
Your experiences, yes.
Trust.
Communication. How can we develop a relationship if we can't talk to one another?
That's important. That's it.
So I can see it in one state, but I don't see it in another. And so the whole piece of this is that you gotta be real. Because if you're not real, you ain't gonna see. Nor are you gonna hear. Come on.
It's not. You know, I was thinking something, Brother Tracy said about the atmosphere.
Yes.
Or setting the atmosphere. It took me back to the divine constitution about
Yes.
it said when we open our meeting,
Yes.
we have to guide it
That's right.
according to the principle.
That's right.
Right. So
That's right.
He just triggered that thought.
That's right. That's right. Those are the type of thoughts that need to be triggered. Praise God. My sister.
I was also thinking about the word relations in the covenant.
Yes.
See, the prophet starts off 12, it says, ye are the children of one father.
Yes.
Therefore, wives carry the
Yes.
rest of one mother. So we can remember that we are all children of one father
Yes.
and one mother.
Yes.
No matter what our personal, this carnal thought that we may have for one another.
Sure.
It is greater than that.
Sure.
That the spirit of Allah is in all of us, and we all from that same creator. Allah.
Yes, yes, yes. But the challenge is this: how do we see our Father? How do we see our mother? Do we see our Father in a limited way? Do we see our mother in a limited way? Because my concept of the relationship is going to be limited if I do.
Right.
So what the relationship is truly is trying to impress upon us will be somewhat askew in our perception of it, because I'm limited in how I see it. You see what I'm saying? You know, see, that's the question. These are the questions that we need to really start asking ourselves. How do we see Allah for real? How do we see the prophet for real? Because how you perceive him is how you are going to receive him. And he will bring with him only what you are willing to receive. He will not force himself on you, because the thought of Allah does not do that. You have to be the one that is willing to accept. You see? And if you're not willing to accept what he's offering, then you must return to the state where he found you.
I know that's right.
You know, because this is not going to be forced on you. Your salvation cannot be forced on you. It wouldn't be right. It wouldn't be fair. So you have to be ready to receive. You know, you got to be ready to receive. If you're not ready to receive, then it's nobody's fault but your own. Because it's not like he's not trying to tell you, prepare to meet your king. Come on.
And he creates the secrets
Yes,
of
Mom.
every heart.
Yes.
And he knows that determination before it's made.
Yes,
So like you said at the beginning, there's no need of fooling you're not fooling him now. You're only fooling yourself to perceive to be doing something you're not.
Right.
Because he already know.
Right.
And once we realize we walk this land with him in us,
Right.
and he registers every thought, word, and deed of us,
Right.
then we will stop tricking ourselves thinking we're getting away with something.
Right. See, but we also have to remember, babe, this. Tempt not his anger.
Yeah.
Lest thou be destroyed.
And that's the challenge.
And not to get comfortable when it doesn't take place with you all at once. Think not, bold men, because thy punishment has been delayed. That the arm of Allah is weak. Or that he winketh at thy doing. You see? Sometimes we think because we got away with something, we got away with it. But we really haven't got away with it at all.
That's why it says in the laws that are ordained for the rule of life.
Yes.
So kindly
united thy duty
to thy nature, that
Yes.
obedience to his precepts
His
is habit
habits.
to his
That's
self.
right. And he also has said this, the book of Allah's remembrance.
Right.
And in that book, that's why it is made known to us in the way that it is made known to us. In that book, every, not just some, every. You know what every means? Every.
Oh.
Come on, Mom.
That made me think about. It's not more. That made me think about what we were talking about earlier about the garden and going back. And I thought about Barada Orebo when the prophet was Prophet Jesus.
Yes.
And he told him that, you know, a mastermind can trace themselves back and thus they know it.
Yeah.
Right? And that's not that's just paraphrasing that.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
But it made me think about the lifetimes, you know, reflecting back. When we've lived so many lifetimes, and you said it's, you just mentioned a record book,
Right.
a remembrance of all of the lifetimes that and things that we have done.
Right.
So it kind of, I thought about the apple. It makes me think about, you know how some troops talk about bit the apple?
Sure.
Well, the prophet tells us how we, you know, the lower self
Yeah.
offers men apples that are
Yeah.
lovely to the eye,
Yeah.
pleasant to the smell.
Yeah.
And so this is how man debased himself,
Yeah.
tore himself away from
Yeah.
Allah
Yeah.
by that apple.
Yeah.
And also the lifetimes, how it's so hard to, you know, it's hard for me to just reflect back to the last lifetime. I be
Yeah.
trying to pull that.
Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know.
you know, I think this in that regard, when it is necessary and it can be of most benefit to us, some will be able to readily remember
Mm-hmm.
when they have lived before and where they have lived before and who they were when they have lived at. In this case that we're presently in, it benefits us not to know.
I know that's right.
Because some of us have done some things that
Right.
could be demoralizing
Mm-hmm.
in our past
Right.
as we were developing. It's just the way it is.
Right.
So it's a blessing that you don't remember certain things and move from this moment on to try to, so.
Yes, sir.
But that whole piece there is a totally another realm of discussion.
That's his mercy there.
Yeah. See, what we're doing today is experiencing chapter 11, where he has said, let's go into the land of fleshless things, where things are made of thought. Because what we are discussing, we can associate with where we are at this moment of our development on earth, but we can also understand that there's something far beyond this realm of existence. And that's what one has to understand. You know, it's something more to it than this. What is it? What happens when you do something and get something back? What is it done? Consequences. Oh, I know one I didn't get it because I was saying it was an R. It's really a C. That's what I was looking for, the C, not the R. Right, that's who we are. You know, when you're trying to remember something, if you put the wrong letter in front of what you're trying to remember, it's difficult to remember it. But if you can find the right letter, that helps you to remember it a little better. Yeah, what I said?
That's how you get those.
Yeah. But anyway, let's continue to proceed. But it was something else too. Listen to this. It says that the devil, who sometimes calls himself God, the devil, right? And the devil sometimes calls himself God, right? So, who is the devil?
The Lord said.
The Lord self. Okay. Who else is the devil? Yeah, we are. But remember, who are the descendants of Adam and Eve?
Lucifer, Satan, devil, dragon, and beast.
So the devil or the descendants came when they came into Asia. They left and came into Asia. They had descendants. They descended from us, and they were products of the lower self, which we identified as Lucifer, Satan, devil, dragon, and beast.
That's right.
Remember, they came from us.
So we was all.
Yes.
Question. What happened in the holy city when those that was cast out of the holy city and those who accepted their teaching?
Right.
So it did something start in the holy city
What's
because
something
they
start?
got casted out, right?
Yeah. What would you think would cause you to get cast out of a holy place?
Inharmony.
Disobedience.
And the acceptance of that thought. See, in the holy city, we accepted that thought, and we had to leave. And we were cast out, and all those who accepted that thought had to go too.
That's right.
And many left. You know, many left. It was just not a couple of people.
Right.
Many people left. Because once you accept the thought, you accept the illusions that thought produced. And so in actuality, What you're really in pursuit of is the illusions that you have created from the acceptance of that disobedient thorn. That's what we saw. And we went after what we saw. Yes.
So that was the distinction between the aided acts and the model, right?
It should be.
Believers
Yes.
and unbelievers.
Yeah, because remember, the holy place is consistent, or it consists of submitters
Islam.
to the will of God. Muslims.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. But in that statement, I noticed something. Right?
Yes.
You said Asiatic model.
Yes.
Didn't say nothing about European.
Well, now that is something else.
The reason why I'm mentioning that because when you were saying about the devil.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Those
Hey,
leaders-
Mo, yeah.
I ain't know what I said. You said they. I'm just telling you what my thought was.
Okay.
Put it on you.
All right.
You said Asiatics and lies.
Right.
Remember, you have your opinion.
But more, listen. He told you in the book this.
He's your fellow man.
No, he told you this, so that you won't have, so it won't be confusing. The divine origin.
That's it. No more piece there.
And then he tells you, do not desire to amalgamate America into the family of the pale-skinned nation.
Right.
Now, he can't, I think that's a very
Yes,
scientific way.
Yes.
For those who can hear.
Yeah, with the ears.
Neither serve God, so they're religious.
That's right.
That's right.
But he did it in love.
Of course he did. Well, remember, you were talking about Allah, thought made manifest.
That's all.
How can it not be intelligent?
Right.
That's why I hate her.
You see? Yeah. So anyway, we got, well, come on.
I just want to say that, for the thought that Brother Alvin just put out, we got to remember that not only did a group accept,
Yeah.
they began to practice and to represent.
Oh, no question.
So yeah, that's evident. And that group came about as you go through certain studies, you investigate a little further, you see how that group developed what they call Europeans.
Well, not only that too, remember, they were driven into a climate, a condition that they created based on the way they were thinking. They left the sun, the light. Okay, all right.
One thing the prophet did for us, but he didn't exclude us. Because he said, and those who accept their teachers.
Babe, if we,
So don't.
babe, being here is a testimony
Yeah.
that we accepted those teachers.
That's what I'm saying. See, sometimes we talk about it in the form, in the prophet, and sometimes I listen to people, we talk about it in the form of, that's the way it is.
Right.
But we forget, we're a part of it.
Right.
And we have one.
More, we help to promote it.
And still promote it.
Yeah,
Many
still
of them.
living. Still living.
My sister.
Islam, so when we were cast out of the holy city, two things actually happened. We were cast, first we cut ourselves off from our God, and because of that,
You got to go.
we cast out.
You got to go. You got to go. Yeah.
This is so thought provoking, right? I'm living this thing right in my head, right? Okay, everybody came out of the holy city, right? We all here now, right? On this upper realm, right?
Look, let's not say everybody.
That's right.
Because remember, there are still those in the holy city who are obedient.
And protect us, okay, but the masses of us
Many of us, yes.
that replenish the earth,
Yeah.
right? We are outside of the holy city.
Yeah,
Now, whether you want to be, say, is within or without.
Right.
But even like when Elizabeth and Mary,
Right.
with Jesus and John, they had to be taught in the sacred grove.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like we in here
Right.
being taught, and this is missing 18 years of the Holy Bible, right?
Right.
So I'm saying Jesus and John, they also had to be taught their mission.
Right.
Be on here on the accomplish here on earth.
Right.
Like the prophet came to us to teach us
Right.
how to think, because like you were saying earlier,
Right.
the things that we see is but illusion, and we
Right.
have to be taught how to. We're being taught how to see these things
Right.
for what they really are, not what
Right.
they appear to be.
Right.
So coming out of that Garden of Eden, everybody, Allah sent all these prophets and teachers and warners
Right.
to teach us, right?
Right.
And symbolic to what I mean, and being consistent, we're being taught as well.
Right.
You know what I mean? And the teaching continues until we get it
And
right.
that's you said a word that's important that we need to identify. This is a continuation of the thought that we've been taught. Remember, we were taught the same thought in a lesser degree of development about 2,000 years ago.
Exactly.
We are continuing that thought process in this new era because he came again. And he said, those who were with me are with me today.
Right.
So it's just a continuation of the lesson. Some of us have received the lesson and we're to a point where, okay, you can have courage enough to try it now to see if it really works. You can really see if it really works. See, we're not talking about the miracles that he performed when they needed to see miracles. We're talking about the things he did that we can do now, which helps to let us know that we can do it too. See, we don't put the emphasis on the miracles like that. We put emphasis on the life.
And living a life.
What kind of life did he live? Can I do that? You see, can I treat people nice for real? And don't get upset when I'm not treated nice? Come on. Can I forgive when I think I have been unjustly, you know what I mean? Can I forgive them?
Can you establish the principle?
Can you?
Right.
Can you? Yeah. Come on, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Just like the sacrifices has changed, you saying the miracles was, important back then to show, his strength. And everybody recognized
Well, remember,
that God exists.
always remember the state of development they were in.
Right.
They had to see miracles.
Yeah. So those sacrifices are not lambs and all that, it's your service to man.
Exactly.
So
But it's still the lamb.
Yeah.
You're still sacrificing the lamb.
Right.
The lamb is just not informed. You see? Yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead, my dear.
This one, I'm going back a little bit. What we had spoken about earlier about life and death, that man cannot die.
Yes.
I often reflect back. One of the things that really helped me to understand that whole thought was when my mother passed, and I went to see her after she had passed. And that whole notion about it is not the flesh you think and bones to reason.
Yes.
There she was lying there still, no life in her body. And I realized, okay, the soul and the spirit is gone.
Right.
What's left there is her physical form.
Right.
But in reflection, I can remember her.
That's
I
right.
see her.
That's right.
And the love that she had.
That's right.
And then to top all of that, just in case I was not quite there,
Right.
when Kobe Bryant passed,
Right.
the same thing took place.
Right.
Everybody was mourning about him, and I said, I remember the brother's spirit. I saw him transition
Right.
from one kind of a brother to another. So there's his spirit. He passed in that helicopter accident. He and his daughter and 7 others.
Right.
But because I didn't have a relationship with him physically,
Right.
but I had a relationship with him spiritually.
Right.
So I still see, and I was praying to his family that he would, they could see the good in him.
Right.
And so the whole thing of him passing as my mother passed, I'm like, spirits.
Right.
We can't die.
Right.
So that's
Look,
my
don't you know that you can call your mother whenever you so desire?
That's right.
Because remember, she's a thought.
That's right.
All this is thought. you know, we have been taught for the purpose of making money off of the deceased that we need to be in have a heavy dose of being sad.
Yeah.
But we're being sad at what? The manifestation of a body. They take a body and they charge you enormous amounts of money.
That's right.
Yes, yes. For the purpose of putting the body in a certain place. Yes. You go and you visit that place, but what are you visiting? The body.
Right.
That is in the state of disintegration.
Right.
When all you have to do is call your mother in thought, or your father, or your brother, or your sister, and then you let them know, I appreciate having the opportunity to be in your company when you was here in flesh.
Yeah.
But I know you're still here because you can't die.
Right. That's why it teaches them to call back departed souls.
And look, you can't, because in many cases you disturb their spirit.
Right.
You know, you disturb their spirit. You see, and these things are just starting to, my dear.
No, I was just gonna say it helps me understanding more, because at home we tend to celebrate the dead by having their caskets and throwing them up in there. Sometimes it's called second life. It's more to let you praise the dead more than to mourn the dead.
Yeah, yeah. And remember, I think it's only fair for you to know that our sister McGee Bear is from New Orleans. Then you may be able to understand a little more better what she's saying. That's the only reason I said that, and I thank you for sharing that. I like Sister McGee getting more vocal. Come on.
It says in the Quran that back to the Europeans, that the European is closer to him in science, am I right?
He says, yeah, the prophet said,
Yes.
you know, he's closer to him in science. You know? But why would he not be? He doesn't believe in God. So he has to have a top scientific, he has to be able to give you a scientific explanation for what goes on.
Yeah.
He has to keep it earth because he can't see beyond the earth. Come on, Ma. Brother, yeah, Brother. Well, I guess that means we're not going into the Quran. No, it's okay. No more. It's all right. It's all right.
Just what helps me understand death
Yeah.
in that lesson was the cause of death are always for the best.
That's right, brother. Regardless of how it appears to us.
Yeah.
That's
So
right.
when my parents passed, that's all I held on to.
Praise the Lord.
You know, I mean, partially, that it was for the best.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Allah know best.
Yeah. 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 It's good. Yeah.
Well, that's only if it's a good death is better than an evil life.
But see, who's to say? I'm coming to the realization now. I gotta be careful what I consider as being evil. I mean, I know what evil breeds.
Right.
But sometimes the appearance may not always be what it is. See, people come to earth and they have to play roles. This is a drama. It's a drama, and what may appear to us one way may not be like that at all.
So we role playing.
That's what we doing, Ma. And that's why he lets you know about the eyes that are the senses that watch. And he tells you how often are they unable to distinguish. Exactly. Because you know how, remember, our thoughts are the determining factor on what we think we see. That is it for today. Peace.
Islam, Lord. Islam. I'd like to thank the Grand Seeker as the moderator of the Lord's High Temple of Allah John Bay for the instructors for the class. I'd like to thank you all for your participation. Thought-provoking and exercising with our Praise Allah.
Praise God.
Now they be called the Assistant Grand Governor of Washington, D.C., Brother T.J. Bill, to be examined. Can we see all movement to give him the advice? Islam,
Islam.
First, I give praises to Allah, the great God of the universe. I give honor to His holy prophet, Noah Ali, and I give honor to each and every one of you. It's a great day, Morris.
Yes, it is.
Prophet warns all Muslims, governors, ordered to read proclamation that is needed. I hereby inform all members that they must end all radical, agitating speeches while at work in their homes or on the streets. We are for peace and not destruction. Stop flashing your cards at Europeans and cause confusion. Remember, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be of severe consequence. We offer love, truth, peace, and freedom. And when these principles are violated, justice then must take its course. Any member or group of members who hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet, or violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors will and must obey the law as laid down to them by their prophet. If they lose confidence in their prophet, they should turn in their card, button, cease wearing their turban or fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. This is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noah Ali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet, therefore, is sending out the divine plea to all Moorish Americans that they do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sins by order of prophet Noah Ali. Peace.
Peace.